Today on the CTV News at 5, a second man pleads guilty to the beating death of a Lethbridge man that involved the use of a 2x4. Plus, Caitlin Boyda's family prepares to go to Uganda to see the water wells Caitlin helped build.
First, I got MacBook to make the app. Then I got Photoshop and this app called Illustrator to make all the drawings and stuff.
And we introduce you to Lethbridge's own Steve Jobs, a 13-year-old who created an iPhone game.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. A Lethbridge man will spend 8 years behind bars after a city man was beaten to death with a 2x4. Police found the body of 47-year-old Christopher James Ballandine in a North Lethbridge home last October. Officers say he had been beaten to death with a 2x4. 53-year-old Kerry Zeller was charged with second-degree murder. Today, Zeller pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Court heard how Zeller and his co-accused 52-year-old Terry Bissonnette went to confront Ballandine over allegations that he was physically abusing his common-law wife. They broke in and attacked him while he was passed out on a couch. Zeller was sentenced to 8 years behind bars, and he must submit a DNA sample to the National Data Bank. He was also given a lifetime firearms weapons prohibition. Bissonnette has already pleaded guilty to manslaughter, and he'll be sentenced next month. Meanwhile, a Medicine Hat man charged in the murder and sexual assault of a 2-year-old boy will stand trial in the toddler's death. Paramedics were called to this Medicine Hat home last June, where they found a toddler suffering from head injuries. He later died in hospital. Police say TJ Heller was looking after the child at the time. Heller has been ordered to stand trial on charges of first-degree murder, sexual assault, sexual interference, and interfering with human remains. A trial date is still being determined. Well, the man charged with kidnapping and then returning a young boy in Sparwood is still waiting to have his other charges in Alberta moved to the BC court system. Randall Hopley is facing break-and-enter charges dating back to 2010 in the Crow's Nest Pass. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for tomorrow in Lethbridge, but last month the Crown told the courts a request had been made to move the charges to BC, where Hopley is currently in custody. Today, court heard the charges as well as victim impact statements, and an order for restitution are still waiting to be moved. Hopley was out on bail on the break-and-enter when he was charged with abducting 3-year-old Keenan Hebert in September. The case will return to Lethbridge Court June 15th to confirm that the transfer has taken place. Impaired driving charges have been stayed against Medicine Hat goalie Tyler Bunce. The Crown decided today that there was no reasonable chance of convicting Bunce. The charges stem from an incident in St. Albert last May, and when charges are stayed, the Crown still has the option of bringing them back for 1 year. Bunce was drafted by the Oilers in the 5th round of the 2010 draft, and earlier this week he signed an entry-level deal with the club. Bunce is also nominated as the WHL's Goalie of the Year. Okay, Dory, technically it is spring, but there's still snow in the forecast.
Yeah, I know you kind of have to look at the date on your watch or your calendar or your cell phone to figure out what time of the year it really is. We've had almost all 4 seasons in 1 week, and we're going to get a little bit more of that variety as far as precipitation goes. Overnight tonight and tomorrow could see some snow, and we've got more precipitation on the way. It's a real up and down roller coaster for the next few days. I'll tell you all about it in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Dory. Well, nearly a year after a southern Alberta teenager passed away, her legacy continues to grow. Caitlin Boyda's dying wish was to help children in Africa. And today, a group of southern Albertans, including Caitlin's family, are flying to Uganda to see firsthand how Compassion Canada is using that money to help families and children. Terry Vogt reports.
Their bags are packed, and now 11 southern Albertans, including members of Caitlin Boyda's family, are heading to Uganda on a trip to show volunteers, supporters, and sponsors how Compassion Canada dollars are benefiting people in Africa.
They really want to show us how they appreciate this, and we're talking major appreciation here. This is going to be a celebration that, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible.
An incredible opportunity, too, for members of Caitlin's family, who are looking forward to meeting the people, and especially the children, who now have clean drinking water in their villages.
Because Caitlin was always excited about the kids' lives that she would be changing when she was alive, and she recognized that kids would go to school because they wouldn't have to haul water, and that babies would live because they're not going to die of diseases that come with dirty water.
Caitlin, who passed away in May of last year, dedicated the final months of her life to a fundraising campaign to build water wells in Africa. The fund, which continues to bring in donations, has surpassed $300,000, helping more than 44,000 people and 21 villages in Uganda alone.
Caitlin was an amazing young woman, changed a lot of lives. Not just to show people that they could be selfless, but and that they could help other people in other countries, especially, but spiritually too. I mean, she was just so faithful, and it was just it's such an amazing story.
We knew that she was an amazing person when she was alive, and she continues to be an amazing person and inspire people, even though she's not here right now.
Family members admit they have mixed feelings about the trip. They're excited to meet the families and children, but kind of sad that Caitlin's not going to be there with them. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And we'll keep you updated on their trip. Meanwhile, Alberta's opposition leader says he fears the Conservative government is pushing towards a water market, despite concerns being raised by many Albertans. NDP leader Brian Mason says he expects water to be an important issue in the provincial election campaign. Mason was in Lethbridge today, where he spoke to the Southern Alberta Council of Public Affairs. Mason says it's not right to give control of water to large international companies like Nestle, which reported last year that it was talking to Alberta about establishing a water exchange.
We think that water is a public good, and it needs to be distributed according to social and economic and environmental needs. It needs to be distributed fairly and in the best interests of society as a whole. We cannot let private corporations get control of our water and then jack up the prices when they sell it back to us.
Mason also says land use and protection of watershed is important to the NDP. He says the government is showing disregard for the Castle Wilderness area by allowing clear-cut logging west of Pincher Creek. Former Environment Minister Rob Brenner has gone on record saying Alberta's water is not for sale and never will be for sale. It's International Week at Lethbridge College, and with that comes the third annual Bridging Cultures Festival. Dancers, exhibitors, and international students were on campus today to take in the festivities. They're celebrating diversity with entertainment, ethnic food, and some good old-fashioned Southern Alberta hospitality. This year's event includes a fundraiser to assist the Lethbridge College Student Association's food bank.
Our international students are a big part of this celebration, and they are here usually alone, come here from far away, and they feel happy about being celebrated, and it's rewarding for us to hear from them all the time.
It's amazing to see everybody coming out together. They're so many different cultures. It's just amazing to see how Canada and my school just bring this up and pick everyone together, and the culture and the food is just amazing.
And as we mentioned, the proceeds from the event go to the LCSA Food Bank. The goal is diversifying donations to the food bank to help international students who often have to use charity in order to get by. Local students are encouraging people to speak out about different lifestyles to create a more understanding community. Lethbridge's third annual Outspoken Conference kicked off this week. It addresses a variety of topics about gay, bisexual, and transgender people. Organizers at the U of L say humans have more similarities than differences, and everyone deserves respect and support.
People don't have the supports that they need, which is another value of this event, is it says very loudly, here is a community that supports you. And until we have those supports, we're going to continue seeing young people and old people taking their own lives because they don't know where else to turn or who they can speak to.
Outspoken events will be held at the U of L, Lethbridge College, and Galt Museum until Saturday. Expect to see a whole lot of purple at this year's Children's Festival. The headliner is Barney. This will be the second year for the event at Lethbridge's Exhibition Park. A few of the other attractions include clowns, astro jumps, and the reptile world. It's a chance to take in a whole day of entertainment for just a few dollars.
Very inexpensive babysitting day if you want to look at it that way. Let somebody else supervise your kids on the astro jumps or take in the show with Barney.
This year's Children's Festival takes place Saturday, April the 21st. And the Alberta Farm Safety Centre in Raymond is releasing another DVD to help educate young people on the dangers of living and working on a farm. The release is part of Alberta Farm Safety Week. With more, here's this week's Farm.TV.
March 11th to the 17th was Farm Safety Week in Canada, and the Alberta Farm Safety Centre in Raymond, Alberta, took the opportunity to announce the release of a new DVD series.
It has a number of topical modules, and they've been kind of prioritized based on fatality incidents. So the first is crushing, and then it goes into entanglement, and drowning and asphyxiation, toxic substance exposure, noise exposure, electricity, falls and collision.
The project was funded by ConocoPhillips as part of their commitment to safety.
A lot of what we do with the elementary kids is awareness and avoidance, because at those young ages, really that's all that they should be focused on. But as they get into those upper elementary grades and then teenagers, you know, if you're living on a farming operation, chances are you're going to be expected by then to be actively helping. So this DVD was meant to be almost like a visual handbook that they could use to help, manage and maybe minimize the risks that are associated with rural living.
Farm TV is brought to you by DA Building Systems.
In the markets today, the loonie closed slightly lower, although still above parity. Here are the final numbers.